Okay, hello and welcome to our Spring 2014 Financial Automation webcast series here at msdynamicsworld.com. I'm Jason Gumpert, and we are here today for the final session in the series, our Financial Automation Vendor Shootout. It has been a busy season. We started this webcast series back in April, and we've covered a range of topics related to accounts payable, document management, procure to pay, workflow, and more. If you missed any of these sessions, I suggest you go back to msdynamicsworld.com's webcast section and seek them out. I'll also post that link there in the chat for you if you want to grab it. We couldn't run this series without our sponsors, and I want to thank them for being a part of it. Today, they'll each be presenting on their own vision and product offerings in document management, financial automation in the dynamic space. And we have presenters on the line from DocStar, Esker, ReadSoft, and Metafile. Each presenter will have 12 minutes and will begin in just a moment. We do invite you to ask your questions today using the Q&A block that you see on the right side of the screen. And we'll be saving time. We'll be saving the questions until the end, and we'll have our presenters take as many of those as we have time for. So, without further delay, we're going to get started here, and I'm going to welcome our first presenter today, and that is Ray Emerzian of DocStar. Ray, are you there?
I am. Thank you, Jason.
All right. I'm still trying to get control of you, and I think you should now be good to go.
I think we're on?
Yes.
Okay, thanks again, Jason, and good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us today to learn a little bit more about DocStar and how we can help your organization achieve greater productivity and increase your bottom line through implementing our Eclipse Smart AP automation solution. I'm Ray Emerzian, and I'm the Vice President in charge of our Accounts Payable Automation practice. DocStar is headquartered in the heart of Tech Valley in Schenectady, New York, and we've been providing enterprise content management solutions since 1994. We're known for providing robust, scalable, and affordable solutions backed by superior implementation processes and customer support. Over 90% of our customers tell us that we provide the best support experience of any software products they use. We've been trusted by nearly 8,000 customers nationwide, so it's highly likely we've worked with organizations much like your own. Here are just a handful of organizations that we've worked with to solve their business process challenges with valuable and reliable solutions that cut costs, increase productivity, and deliver substantial ROI. I've been a part of the DocStar team for over 16 years now, and like all the team members here at DocStar, it's been my passion and my commitment to deliver the best business process solutions. Ensuring easy and reliable operation is a key objective for our team. As a highly responsive organization, we're there for our customers when they need us, and we continually enhance our solutions with customer-driven innovations. We thought we'd do something a little different today and let you hear from one of our actual customers. Joining me today is Melinda, Vice President of Finance with a manufacturing organization. She's tasked with strategic planning and decision-making about how to scale her organization's capabilities as they grow. Melinda chose DocStar as her Dynamics GP integrated solution vendor in 2011. Welcome to our call today, Melinda.
Hi, thanks, Rick.
Welcome. So, Melinda, what would you say are the top benefits you've enjoyed since implementing DocStar's AP automation solution?
For me, it has been having access from my computer at my desk in my office to the AR and AP invoices with the supporting documentation. For accounts receivable, I've got at my desktop our company's invoices, the check copies, bank documentation that came with reference to wires, that type of thing. For the invoices, it's actually having the invoice, the shipper, and the PO right in front of me and able to look at that without moving from my desk. The other thing, or other couple things, are we now have quicker invoice processing by my staff. We make use of DocStar's workflow references, where we can send invoices to be approved by people outside of our accounting department. Sometimes there's one workflow, sometimes two workflows as far as the approval process that's required. So we're able to do that and have that come back much more quickly than when we were doing it via paper mode. The other thing I would say is now our annual audit. My company has a certified annual audit. We now do that paperlessly.
So what would you say was important to you in your vendor selection process, and why did you choose DocStar?
I think in the end, everyone's going to find that it's actually being comfortable with the people. As far as for me, it was DocStar, the skills and commitment. When I came into the project, for me, to be honest, it was 1 year from the start to the end of making that selection. In that time, I started by looking at accounting periodicals to see who provided the document or provided the tools that I was looking for. We invited 6 vendors into our company and said, hey, can you make a presentation to us? They came, they made presentations. I also had my staff involved, and we narrowed it down to 3. Asked them, could you come in and make a second presentation? And then we narrowed it and we ranked in order of who we felt comfortable with. And in the end, it ended up being my decision, but it was that I felt comfortable with the DocStar people, that they were going to be able to take us to where we wanted to go.
Now, Melinda, DocStar is passionate about, committed to, and experienced at solving AP processing challenges. Can you give us an example of this from your own experience?
For our project, it was, what I liked most was the project was not considered complete by DocStar until my company was happy that everything that they said that they could do was done, which it was. In that process, I have spoken and met the West Coast Director of Sales of DocStar. I ended up in the project being able to speak to the President of DocStar. I was impressed that he would take the time to call me. As far as the sales, the people are committed. My company uses Dynamics GP. The Director of Sales introduced me to the GPUG meeting, the users group meeting for GP. So my company ended up becoming a premium member. We are now going into our project number 2 related to DocStar. The purchasing department is going to come on to using our GP software, and that will be phase 1. Phase 2 of that same project is, now that you're comfortable with GP, is getting them to use DocStar. So yes, I'm very happy with DocStar, and I see taking DocStar into other phases of our company.
Melinda, what advice would you give others that are listening in today and thinking about implementing an AP automation solution?
In the end, I think you're going to, when you look at the top 2 or 3 vendors that you've gone through your search with and who you're considering to actually buy your product from, it's going to come down to, do you feel comfortable and confident about the vendors that you're dealing with, the people who you're actually going to be working with? That's going to be number 1. Secondly is, I'm on the board of directors for my company, so I'm not only in the accounting or finance department, but I have to look beyond at a greater range for my company. The other thing that I liked about DocStar was it reached beyond the AP finance solution. So I can see this going into purchasing, which is, in a sense, a part of accounting finance, but I can also see this going into, we have a laboratory at our company, and we have a maintenance department at our company. Those 2 departments can use DocStar, even though they're not hooked into any type of an accounting finance system, but they can use it. And that's the other thing I liked about DocStar. I could take it beyond accounting and take it into other departments of our company.
Well, Melinda, it's been a pleasure working with you and your team, and thank you so much for joining us today to share a few words with us.
You're welcome.
Now continuing on, we'd like to give everybody a brief walkthrough of our solution. Built on advanced technology and contemporary user interface design, the Eclipse Smart AP solution is so elegant that it's the software you'll want to use day in and day out. With ease of use in mind, accessing, processing, and routing AP invoices is a real breeze. The DocStar Eclipse Smart AP solution allows you to automatically capture, recognize, process, and route inbound AP invoices in multiple formats and give you greater insight into the process along the way. The solution is built to not only handle successful invoice processes, but to streamline the exception handling process as well. Making the AP invoice process easier and faster is what we're all about. Even when reviewing exceptions, we draw your attention directly to the issue and give you the tools to quickly address it by highlighting the areas in question that need resolution and giving you the ability to instantly edit those, make any changes necessary, review related documentation at the click of a button, and be able to get through that process as quickly as possible. Integration with Microsoft Dynamics allows you to avoid manual invoice data entry, and with integrated retrieval functionality built right into the Microsoft Dynamics screens, accessing actual invoices and supporting documents is just a mouse click away. Instantly being able to see the invoice or other related documents in question, all the information relating to them, even audit histories and workflow steps and statuses, allows you to get the best possible insight into what's going on with that invoice or supporting documentation, and also be able to instantly distribute it as needed via a link, a request to join in and access the document by logging in, password protection, multiple different options for distributing that invoice or supporting documentation. Before we go today, I'd like to leave you with a thought. We've taken the time to help you get to know a bit more about us today, but I'd like you to invite you to contact us and really see what we're about and how we can make a profound difference in helping you get to your business process goals successfully. If you include us in your process and let us earn your trust and confidence, I'm sure you'll be glad you did. We'd like to thank everybody for their time today, and for any future consideration, please feel free to contact us directly. Contact information is up on the screen, and we appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Ray. Our next presenter is Diana Egan from Esker. And Diana, I'm going to be passing control to you now. Diana, is your line open?
I'm there. Can you see my screen?
We're still waiting for it to come up. Okay, there it is.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. For those of you who may not be familiar with Esker, our mission is simply to quit paper and improve processes by eliminating manual tasks. Esker's a global leader in document process automation. Companies of all sizes and industries rely on Esker solutions to help cut operational, administrative, accounts payable costs, on average about 40 to 60%. We have over 11,000 active document management customers, with 4,500 of those running their solutions in the cloud. Industry analysts report that as much as 80% of AP processing time is spent on manual routing of vendor invoices. It's a significant time waster, typically results in late payments and lost invoices and missed discounts. At Esker, we recognize those obstacles and have created a single platform to handle all of your unique business process challenges, such as accounts payable, purchasing requisitions, payment, accounts receivable, sales order processing, can all be addressed. Based on your current needs, you can leverage the platform for one business process, 2, 3, or the best of suite. And it can be done in an on-premises server solution or on-demand with a software as a service or cloud approach. Esker utilizes agile methodology for project implementation. If you don't know what that is, it promotes a collaboration environment of teamwork and customer involvement very early in the project planning to get the highest business value in the shortest amount of time. So, no more lengthy scoping and paying for functionality that you don't need. We operate and support globally, and we offer numerous, in local language user interfaces. I'd love to show you some of the functionality of our accounts payable solution. This is a high-end overview, but many of the features that you're going to see were developed directly from customer feedback. So, welcome to the Esker login screen. We offer the option to have a single sign-on where it logs you in automatically, or you can also choose if you want the AP specialist to log in each time. I'm going to review the steps that are taken during an inbound invoice process. The process I'll describe is for a typical, non-PO'd commercial invoice. The process changes slightly depending on the type of invoice you receive, whether it's PO or non-PO generated. But for the sake of simplicity, we'll start with the non-PO'd first. An AP specialist will be brought to this screen. We call it Document Manager. You can set this up to have views any way you want, whether you want, certain invoices coming into a certain specialist based on a geographic location or vendor amount. As you can see here, this is a list of, this particular AP specialist invoices still to review. Once I've chosen to open up a particular invoice, the validation screen pops up, and on the left-hand side, you see the information that's been extracted automatically from the image. That can come from fax, email, scanned postal mail invoice. All of this information is captured electronically. The only thing to be entered in manually might be a cost center or department, for example. But what's nice is based on the vendor, even that information can be auto-populated, and a buyer can simply approve the information and move on. With Esker, different invoice formats are easily handled without the need for templates. OCR technology and free-form technology are embedded into the solution, allowing to easily deal with the content from very diverse invoice types. So once your AP clerk has verified that the information captured is correct, it's ready for the buyer to approve. Esker doesn't dictate to you how to do your approvals and workflow. It can be set up with the approval hierarchy that you currently require for your organization. Let's take a look how this process could look, let's say, for example, in Dynamics. As an example, I'll use NAV. So, just as before, I went into the Document Manager, clicked to open an invoice, and this screen popped up. The invoice is on the right. The information dynamically captured is on the left. Once it's approved, and all the information is captured, and it can be submitted, and it could hit to your post of invoices in NAV. Here's a detail of what that looks like. That NAV generated invoice number also gets sent back to Esker solution. So in the future, if you need to search within Esker, you can search by either the number or many of the other searchable fields. I mentioned earlier the solution easily handles, PO'd invoice as well. There isn't much difference, and the workflow is actually seamless between PO and non-PO'd invoices. Most of both. So what you're looking at is the screen. It should look fairly familiar from what you've seen previously. Once you selected an invoice from the Document Manager, this is your validation screen. The line items on the left were actually checked against the PO line item information, either from Dynamics or from another purchasing solution you might currently already have, and automatically extracted using the OCR and the dynamic document capture technology. The green boxes you see on the lower left show that each line item matches, and this is an example of an invoice that could go through without really any manual intervention, meaning the PO number and all the other line items match up. It's an ideal situation for an invoice, and means that the information is going to move on to Dynamics once you send it. So how does this look for buyers? Buyers have access to an easy-to-use validation interface They can set up a scheduled report that pulls a list of the invoices that they need to approve, or they can access the solution directly, or they can get an email prompt to do it as well. So for example, if I'm an AP clerk and I need to process the phone bill, the invoice is submitted and buyer 1 is already set up. The AP clerk can get a notification if they want once they send that out to the buyer. And then, of course, this is the email directly what the buyer would receive. And so they can click on that email notification. When they click on the link, it's going to take them directly to the web access validation form. The validation form presents to the user only the necessary information that they need with the image of the invoice. So from it, they can easily approve or reject or put the invoice on hold if they want. Or if your buyers, aren't getting back to AP, which is sometimes the case, and an invoice, sits in the box too long for approval, you may want to have some sort of auto notification parameter set up, alerting them or even their boss that this invoice has been sitting there for X amount of hours or X amount of days, so they need to click on the link and approve. So once they open the link, the buyer can put in notes if they want. They can say, okay, this looks pretty good, any comments, and then they can hit the approve button. All of your own specific business logic can be set up based on your own rules. We don't, want to change what you do. We just want to make what you do more efficient. And to that end, we also have an app for your buyers, which is great, especially when so many folks are needing to approve when they're out of the office. So we have mobile approval for convenience, so they can pull it up on their iPad or their device or their iPhone, and they can view a list of the invoices waiting for approval. They can look at the images. If they need to make any adjustments, let's say it's a director of finance, need to change the cost center to somebody different, they can do that. They can approve it, put it on hold, or return it back to the AP specialist if need be. A couple of other key highlights of Esker's AP solution, audit trails and visibility are so key for every one of our customers and probably for you as well. Everyone loves having visibility into what's going on, whether to see, which vendors are giving us the most problems with exceptions, or which AP specialists are overloaded with invoices and who aren't, how long it takes to process specific invoices. Built-in reports come with the solution out of the box, but you can create your own unlimited amount of reports through an easy wizard. It only takes a few steps, and you put all the metrics in that you want. Also, at the end of the process, Esker not only stores the information on our end, if you want, for up to 11 years, but we also can hand that image along with the key index information for long-time archival, if you have a third-party long-term archive solution, or if you want to keep that information in Dynamics. If you want more details regarding Esker's accounts payable solution, or any of our other solutions, including, again, purchasing, accounts receivable, sales order processing, any custom documents such as inbound documents for your business, you can find all of that on our website, which is www.esker.com. You can get case studies and testimonials. I strongly recommend you visit our site. Once you're on the accounts payable page, also there's no shortage of information for you to view and to read. With that, I'll end my session. Again, I appreciate your time. Again, my name is Diana Egan, the Director of Sales here at Esker, and I look forward to hearing from you. With that, Jason, I'll pass it back over to you.
Okay, thank you, Diana. Our next speaker will be Mark Aranza from Reedsoft. And Mark, I will give you control now.
Great, thank you, Jason. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're seeing your screen.
Great. I would like to thank my co-presenters for taking their time to discuss what you will gain by implementing AP automation. I'm certain that you in the audience will do your due diligence with your research of automation companies Analysts such as Gardner and Harvey Spencer and Associates are often helpful sources as they have expertise in reviewing automation companies and their capabilities. Instead of echoing my co-presenters' common points on how you can improve what you can achieve by automating your process, let me show you what a day in the life of your AP team members would consist of. Over the last 20+ years, ReadSoft has learned a lot from its 12,000 customers worldwide, of which 8,500 uses our AP automation technology. We recognized early on, after developing one of our first capture technologies, that AP departments really needed a tool to help them get invoices processed quickly. They were tired of repetitive work of keying in invoices day after day and chasing that same piece of paper around the office. As a company, we've matured into a group of experienced process experts for finance. It's been fun. Our experience with some of the biggest SAP and Oracle customers prepared us for the needs of finance departments of all sizes, be it in order to cash or purchase to pay. And we brought that process knowledge and market-leading technology to our dynamic solution set for AX, Great Plains, and Navision. So just a little bit about ReadSoft. ReadSoft was founded in 1991 by two Swedish gentlemen who recognized a need in the business world and addressed it. Today, ReadSoft has grown into a worldwide group, delivering industry expertise and support in 17 countries on 6 continents through its local and global partner network. Our global headquarters is located in Helsingborg, Sweden, and throughout the 17 subsidiaries, the United States subsidiary is located in New Orleans, is by far the largest subsidiary. And last but not least, our Dynamics ERP integration are certified by Microsoft. Now onto the demo. You probably get invoices in multiple formats and from multiple sources. Not to worry, we have answers to those known challenges. Regardless if you have a distributed environment or a single location, we can centralize the receipt no matter how your invoices are delivered. Invoices can be received from sources such as email via email attachments or in the body, faxes, electronic data feeds, and of course, paper via scanner. We also accept many image file formats such as TIFFs, JPEGs, PDFs, and even XML. Some of our customers prefer a more collaborative method, so if you'd like to start moving from a paper to electronic invoice receipt, we can provide that or integrate with an existing portal. As you will see here, this is a day in the life of an AP person. When they receive invoices, they can go ahead and highlight some of their images. And as you can see from my country and type here, I'm processing US invoices with line items. As I click Start, we'll be doing a vendor determination in conjunction with your vendor master, extract header and line item detail. As I go into the Verify screen, you'll see here that I have an invoice, and just to show you what the user interface looks like, we have majority of the image, as you can see here on the screen. We determined the buyer based on your vendor master, picked up key data elements that you would typically key in: invoice number, invoice date, PO number, total amount, and also the extraction of line items. You can see that we go by a simple traffic light system for statuses. We have green check marks, and if everything is green, which means it's in complete status, the OK button will be highlighted automatically. Also, in cases, this process can be bypassed, meaning fewer touch points. In case that a user may need to change a value that has been captured properly or maybe incorrectly captured, they have the ability to go ahead and redraw that field. As you can see there, as I redraw my invoice date field and chose as a ship date field, it changes the value there. So once again, less hand keying and more process automation. I'm going to go ahead and send this into the workflow process. And in the workflow process, I have 2 scenarios that I want to cover briefly here. One is a non-PO or an expense type invoice, and the other one is a PO-based type invoice or purchase order. I highlighted one of my transactions here, and as you can see, it's ready for account coding. This is my non-PO scenario. I can also go ahead and expand it into full view. As I expand into full zoom view, you can have the ability to view the image, review some invoice details, comments, and so on. I can also go ahead and start keying in data, if needed, within the account coding segments here. And we are validating this from your Dynamics ERP coding segments and chart of accounts. However, one feature that I'd like to show is the ability to go ahead and apply a recurring coding mask to an invoice. So I would say I receive this invoice, and I always know that it's split between two department codes. I can go ahead and apply that, click it. As you can see there, it went ahead and applied it and split the amount for the two GL accounts. The same token, I know who the approvers are for these department codes. So as I click Fetch My Approvers, it went ahead and identified who needs to authorize these lines. As I click Distribute, these two department owners will go ahead and receive an email, and they can approve the invoice, and from there we can go ahead and create an invoice approval journal voucher, for example, in Dynamics ERP-AX environment. The other scenario I'd like to cover is basically just a quick PO, and as you know, POs are already pre-approved. So what I'm showing you here, once again, is the image. And if I show all my lines, you recall from earlier we had extracted the line item detail. And what we have done here is we've automatically matched it on the PO from the Dynamics ERP. In addition to that, I have a little yellow E here, which means it's a little bit of an exception. And what I mean by a little bit is we have the ability to automate that as well. So we find the word freight on a line that's on the PO. We can go ahead and assign that to another account, and as long as it's within my tolerance, we can automate that whole process. So once again, fewer touch points as it moves forward through the automation of the workflow. Once a PO has been sent to the Dynamics ERP, we can close a PO and send it to the next steps, which is payment. The process you have just witnessed can be done with both in the office or anywhere you have web access, as well as on your phone or any devices via our set of mobile apps. With our mobile applications, approvers or managers can easily act on pending invoices for approval or rejection quickly and, if required, remotely. One last thing I'd like to show with the demonstration is the ability to view, based on pictures, your reports. So this is a snapshot of what's currently happening in your system. And here you can drill into it, create your custom reports, and so on. Okay. So as a reminder, this is only an overview to give you a feel for how we can help with your AP automation. The technology you just saw can also automate processing of contracts, purchase requisitions, sales orders, and other tasks. Not to forget our e-invoicing portal offering, which complements the PO and non-PO process functionality. As an example, as I showed, we offer automated 2- or 3-way matching with the PO-based invoices, or the recurring coding shortcuts, the masks, for the non-PO. Please reach out to us for a more in-depth discussion on your current process and your needs. We're great listeners and enjoy the interaction. So at this time, I'd like to go ahead and turn over the virtual floor to Jason. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mark. And we are going to move on to our next speaker, and that is Bob Holly of MetaFile. I'm just going to open up your phone line, Bob.
Thanks, Jason. Yep, I'm here.
All right.
And I need to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can now.
Great. Well, thank you all for taking the time out of your busy days to meet with the four of us and get a sneak preview of the solutions that are offered for document management. My name is Bob Hawley. I'm the Western Region Manager for MetaFile Information Systems. Most people know us by our product name, which is MetaViewer. So with this 12-minute session here, I'll have very little time to get into the solution, but I'll do what I can. A little bit about our company background. We're probably the oldest company here on the call. We've got 34 years of experience in document management. We were founded in 1979. We are a privately held company located out of Rochester, Minnesota, although I am based here in Southern California as the Western Region Manager. We've got over 10,500 installations of MetaViewer worldwide, and probably 1,500 of those alone are customers who run one of the 4 different Dynamics ERP systems. So I want to just talk real quickly about what questions you need to ask. You're on this call because you are interested in automation and going paperless, but it's important that I think it's important that you lift the hood, and not only lift the hood on each one of us, but you take off the air filter cover and look deep inside of each solution. You'll see differences. So some of the questions that you need to ask, let's kind of just review those quickly. Is the solution a browser-based solution, or is it a client-server solution? I think all of us on this call are browser-based, but that's something that you want to ask. Can your users access the application via a browser? Is full-text searching of documents available to you? In the world of accounting, searching for a word in a document may not be super important, but if you're using the solution, in this case MetaViewer, outside of accounting for contract management or for human resources or any of the other areas, can you search for a word in a document? Think of it like a Google type search. If that's important to you, ask each one of us if that's available. Does the system offer document reading technology? I believe all of us do, but I think it's very important that you know what the cost of that document reading technology adds to the overall solution cost. So you should ask, how much is your solution with it, and how much is it without it? Are there acquisition options available? Yes. Purchase is the perpetual way that you buy software and have it installed on either virtual machines or physical machines within your company or at your data center. But are other options available if you don't want to purchase? Can I acquire your application in the cloud? And then lastly, MetaViewer is available on-premise subscription. So you might say to us, we want your solution, but we don't want to buy it. We want to rent it. We want it here at our data center. Is that available to us? And with us, meaning MetaViewer, we do offer a non-purchase subscription way to have MetaViewer installed at your location, but you pay for it as a service. A few more questions you need to ask. Just how much automation does the system have? So if you're considering workflow automation, we all have workflow automation, but we have it in various degrees of how much human intervention is needed to process a document. So it's important for you to understand how much do your people have to touch the document versus having the system automatically process that document based on information. I'll give an example. Do all of us offer the ability to capture invoices directly from the email box to which they were sent? Some of us do, some of us don't. Now, you might not have thought to ask that question, but MetaViewer has a way to monitor your email box and automatically open the email, open the attachment, and import it in from the email box in which it was delivered. Other solutions, that's a manual process, a human intervention step that's needed. And anytime you have a human intervention step that's needed, the return on investment is lower than the solution that can provide more automation to you. Another important thing, what integration methods are available? Each of us has a slightly different way that we pass invoice data, and since most of us have been talking about accounts payable automation, we could be talking about sales order processing automation. It works the same way. That system needs to pass information to your Microsoft Dynamics ERP. So the question is, how does that happen? Does that involve an intermediate table? And if that's the case, who takes the data from an intermediate table into your Dynamics application? You, your partner? Does the customer's solution or does the vendor solution have a complete end-to-end process to integrate and push, in this case, invoice data to your ERP system? Does that, do all of us work with any Dynamics application? Some of you are running AX, some weren't running GP, Solomon or SL, and Navision. So all of us don't work with all four of those. You'll want to ask if we work with your specific version of Dynamics. Can the system integrate outside of the ERP? Can it be used as a document management system, or some might refer to it as an enterprise content management solution? Can it integrate with systems like HRIS? Can it integrate with SharePoint? And lastly, what dashboards or reporting does the system come up with? Have standard, if you will. You should ask to see them. In fact, the little laptop on the right-hand side of my screen gives you some examples of dashboards that give visibility to documents and workflow. We're not talking about tables of information that you can read, Excel-like, if you will. We're talking about visual dashboards that give you easy and quick visibility to documents and workflow. So what is MetaViewer? MetaViewer is a browser-based enterprise document management solution. That means there's a zero footprint for 99% of your users. Any browser will work, including mobile browsers. We're fully integrated with all versions of Dynamics, GP, AX, SL, and NAV. Now, the integration method that we choose to pass data from our system to the Dynamics system varies based on which Dynamics ERP you're using. For example, GP, eConnect is used. No third-party application. eConnect is the Microsoft integration tool built for Dynamics GP. But because eConnect is only the integration tool for GP, it won't work for AX. So for other ERP applications, we use web services to pass information from MetaViewer directly to the Dynamics ERP application. And that's important to know because some of us will stage that data and have you responsible for pulling the data into your ERP system. We also have some technology that no one else has. So all of us offer workflow. We all offer document reading technology. And the document reading technology that we all have heard about on this call is OCR. OCR stands for Optical Character Recognition. I believe we're the only one in the industry that actually can take a document and read the text from it without using OCR. So if there's text in that invoice that you receive, in the example of accounts payable processing, MetaViewer can read, copy, and paste the actual text from that electronically delivered invoice, and the result is a 100% accurate read. OCR is not 100%. It is a necessary evil because it's the only way to read a paper document that's been scanned. So we have an OCR component as well. So an overview of accounts payable in this case. MetaViewer is at its core a document repository. Think of it as an electronic filing cabinet. It has a module called Accelerator. And in the case of accounts payable automation, it has, the tool is called Invoice Accelerator. It has an OCR component for reading paper, just like everybody else. What makes us unique is when you receive that invoice or that purchase order from your customer electronically, we're able to copy and paste the text from that electronically received document 100% accurately. You might create documents in Dynamics and in SharePoint, and we can capture those documents as well. All of us have a workflow component. And I think one of us said we have multiple workflows. Yes, that is true. Out of the box, MetaViewer has, in the case of accounts payable automation, it has 2 out-of-the-box workflows, one for non-purchase order invoices and the other for purchase order invoices, because the workflow process is different for each of those different documents. Retrieval. We probably all have buttons that we place on the Microsoft Dynamics windows, so that's not a differentiator between all of us. Do they integrate with SharePoint? Can you search for a document in the solution starting from a SharePoint window? And then lastly, we might all offer a vendor portal, and that is a portal that's in a very secure way where you can have your vendors go and look and check the statuses of your documents without having, or their documents, without having them call you.
Bob, we're at time.
Okay, so real quick, I'll give you my contact information. I didn't have a ton of time, but if you need more information about MetaViewer, feel free to give me a call. My contact information and email address is below. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you, Bob, and thank you for to all of the presenters here. Great job, and great job managing your time. I know it's a tight window in which to present. What we're going to do now is open the floor up for questions. You can enter your questions into the Q&A block that you'll see on the right side, to the right of the slides. I'm actually going to, I mentioned earlier that there are, you can have access to all the other presentations we've run this spring. And I'm going to just paste in a link here in case anyone wants to follow that or didn't catch it earlier, to follow those and check those out at your leisure. Here's the contact information for all of our presenters today in case you do want to follow up, and I hope that you do. So many great points and a lot of information to take in from 4 different presenters. So I wanted to start off with a question around the people who use AP automation and document management solutions. And I'm going to obviously give everyone a chance to answer this, but I'd like to know one way that you found that AP professionals or others responsible for managing content have been able to change the way they work, either individuals or as an organization, after deploying a solution. So why don't we start with Ray, and then we'll kind of go through the group. Ray, can you hear me?
I'm here. Sorry about that. So if I understand the question correctly, have they been able to change the way they work after deploying AP automation solutions?
Right.
The answer has to be absolutely yes. I mean, when you implement automation, it does reduce a lot of the manual data entry, a lot of the stare and compare, and a lot of the basically mundane tasks that you typically have to go through that, quite frankly, automation can eliminate. So definitely you change the way you work, and you actually become a little bit more able to take on new tasks that are much higher value add to your organization. So it does allow you to change the way you work.
All right, excellent. Diana?
Yeah, I will absolutely agree with Ray that, automated processing we found can improve flow-through rates by more than 60%. It certainly can reduce staffing and operational costs by almost as much as 70%. It cuts, paper storage costs by as much as 90%. To make these types of automation benefits easily accessible to organizations, this is of all sizes, right? Even smaller organizations can take advantage of that type of automation and put in that management of their vendor invoice processing with some quick return.
Okay, and Mark?
Yeah, I agree with my co-presenters. Definitely, it changes, not just the work ethics, work habits. Being able to have auditability and the overview of where the invoices are being processed from, especially if you have a distributed process. It keeps track of everything where you need for it to be. So there's a couple of reprocess engineerings that had to happen in a few of our implementations, but it was certainly for the better, and we call those the best practices, really applying what we've learned from previous implementations and recommending it to our new implementation so that they can have a better process flow of their invoice processing.
Okay, and Bob.
The return on investment for a workflow and paperless solution is very, very high. I would be surprised in comparing any one of our solutions to a paper manual process that you would not be able to cost justify and have a return on investment somewhere in the 9-month to 12-month range. So, and there's so many different components to the return on investment. We all offer document reading technology. What does that do? It greatly reduces the amount of data that you have to enter to create a transaction in your financial system. That's just one area. Then there's paper saving and storage costs, and the list goes on and on.
We have a question here from Greg who asks, can invoices be batched up and sent to approvers, for example, once a week as opposed to one at a time email notifications? And let's start this time with Diana.
Yes, we can do that.
Okay. Mark?
Yes, certainly. But the question I have on that, though, is the reasoning why. Just because for batching processes, unless there's a specific reason for it, you're actually holding up other transactions as to where you should really just process invoices as they come in. So maybe for the conversation, but yes, we can certainly do that if necessary.
All right, and Bob?
Yes, the answer is yes, but I would ask the question, are you asking for the batch processing or the batch delivery of an invoice to be approved? Is that because you don't want the approver to receive multiple emails, one per document that was sent? If so, the answer would be we'd probably want to deliver it and throttle down the email notifications that a recipient of a document gets to once per week. The answer is yes, but I would question why that would be the need. Is it based on recurrence of email notifications versus something else?
Okay, and Ray?
The answer is yes here as well, and I would say that it's been our experience over the years that you probably want to make that a once-a-day notification, because once per week could leave you hanging out there with an outstanding invoice to be paid for too long, and you might miss payment discount windows doing that.
All right, and so I'll make a final call for questions here. I have one more. I'd like to know what some of the decision points are today that go into a company's choice between a cloud-based solution and an on-premise, and really specifically, what are the decision points that go into making the move to a cloud-based solution? And Mark, why don't we start with you this time?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay. Sorry about that, press the wrong button. Yeah, so basically the decisions our customers have made typically on the debating between on-premise or cloud-based form somewhere around, one, the security. What are their compliance, what needs to be met by their organization. Two is their IT infrastructure, IT department. Do they have it in place? Is it more of a small shop that maybe outsources, or do not want to get their IT involved? Typically, those are the two main considerations, depending on choosing between an on-premise or a cloud-based solution from our perspective.
Okay, Bob?
Yeah, I would agree with Mark in that it really is going to be up to, obviously, finance to determine how they want to pay for a solution like this, whether it's in a subscription way, a cloud or on-premise, or a perpetual way which would be a purchase. IT obviously has input in that if their company has dynamics in the cloud, it might make sense to have the document management solution in the cloud as well. But again, it really is going to be the culture of the company that we're working with that will dictate how they acquire the solution.
All right. Ray.
I'd agree with my co-presenters as well. They make very good points. Same points. Your IT infrastructure as it stands today and where it's planned to go, you might want to leverage technology you already have in place, and going with on-premises solutions might make sense for you. Or you might be in the middle of transitioning to all cloud-based products, so that might be the direction you're heading in, and that's the choice you want to take on. The pricing model, as mentioned by Bob, plays into it as well. Do you want a subscription model, a perpetual licensing model? And what technology differences exist between a cloud-based implementation versus an on-premise implementation? And that has a lot to do with what you're integrating with. If you're integrating with cloud technologies you're already using, cloud may be a better option. If you're integrating with local databases and multiple sources of data, then you might want to go with an on-premises. So there are several factors.
Okay, and Diana.
Well, I certainly agree with all points that mentioned. I mean, for us, I know that in addition to security, resources is certainly a decision that's pushing people to cloud. We hear mostly from those making this business decision, the business users, who do not want to wait for internal IT resources to be available or budgets to be allocated for on-premises solutions in order to get a project moving. So, you know, they want the capability expected from an on-premises software solution, but move from, you know, capital to operational expenditures and gain that flexibility, you know, for variations and, you know, like I said, the subscription model for in document volume and number of users and those types of things. So, you know, a few things drive the cloud decision, but mainly, again, security, resources, and the payment model.
Okay, that concludes our question queue. So thanks for those questions. And let me just start closing out by thanking our presenters today. So Bob, Mark, Diana, and Ray, great job, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Jason.
Thank
you,
you,
everyone.
Thank you.
And we want to thank the audience also for being here, for the questions, and we hope to see you again online soon for an upcoming event. Thanks, and have a great day.